last official time we'll appear as a class. It didn't seem like today would ever come, did it? Time's flown because we've been busy. I still remember that day in orientation when they told us to kiss our spouses and our children goodbye because we wouldn't see them for 2 years. I thought, yeah, right. They were right. We've been busy. You guys remember that first day in the lab with Mrs. Hogle and Mrs. K? That tiny old lab. There was at least 30 of us packed like sardines, shoulder to shoulder, knee to knee. We could hardly breathe. It was so tiny. We had to climb over the furniture to get out. And we were so worried about learning how to wash our hands. And how to tie each other up in restraints. That was fun. Then we had our first theory class and the boom was lowered. I had it with Dr. Mopa. She taught me what the next 2 years were going to be like really quickly. Then it was our first clinical. First patient. First bed bath. And mine happened to be a male patient. I was scared I was going to be one of those students Mrs. Zinka told us about that she had to shove them into the room to get you started. We were also introduced to our new best friends. Clinical focus, 8-page assessment, and care plans. They would be with us for the whole 2 years. And if we ever got bored, we always had studying for the upcoming test. But time passed, and we finally arrived at our favorite clinical of that first year, the one we've been waiting for, surgery. Remember how the instructors had us put on the scrubs, and that little cap, and the little booties on our feet, and the little mask, and told us all to go in and stand up against the wall? We thought it was so that we wouldn't touch anything that was sterile. In reality, they were afraid we were going to pass out and somebody was going to fall over us. The password for that particular clinical rotation was, "Are you all right?" But time passed. And then it was the RN year. We were seniors. We were now the big people on campus. I remember the instructor saying to us in our first theory class, "We're trying to make it more fun and easier this term." Little did we know they meant more fun for them. We're still waiting. What did we earn by becoming seniors? Mrs. Zink and her 205 theory class. We learned how to read heart rhythms and look for arrhythmias, and we looked for our P, Q, R, S, T's. We also learned how to have a nervous breakdown in that class. The saving grace was the ICUs. They let us go into ICUs for niche people. But we loved it. But they had a good lineup because the next class was psych. Where we attended group therapy and practiced our therapeutic communication skills, more or less. Finally, it was our last semester. It seemed like every staff member we ran into was saying, "Where are you going to work? What field are you going to choose?" It was a hard decision. because every class we took gave us more options. And we all found out that too many choices is actually worse than not enough. We also studied geriatrics in the nursing homes. We did our community nursing in the elementary schools, where we did a presentation, a health fair presentation, for the kindergartners through 3rd grade. What a zoo. You know, we definitely learned that today's children are getting too much sugar. I was more tired after 2.5 hours of presenting health issues to these kids than I was after a full 8-hour day on the floor in the hospital. We also had advanced OB and Peds. And we could always find Sue Stengler in our rotation group. You just listened for the screaming kid and followed it. I know she's eventually going to end up in Peds. Finally, it was leadership. We got to do another presentation, this time in front of our peers, so it made it much easier. We also did our favorite, a 7 to 9 page APA format paper on leadership. Thank you, Mrs. Lake. And of course, if we were bored, we still have our best friends, clinical focus, 8-page assessment, and care plans. We had 2 HESIs to take, one at the beginning of the term and one at the end. And suddenly it was the finals. Only the boards stood between us and being full-fledged RNs. It's been a wild ride. Cedar Point has nothing on Mott's nursing school. But we do want to thank some people. We want to thank our families. We want to thank our children for still loving us even though we've missed concerts and ball games and other special events. We want to thank our spouses for their patience when most of the time during these last 2 years they heard, "Quiet, I'm studying! Turn that TV off!" Or, "Can't you do something with these kids?" We want to thank our friends for sticking with us even though we've ignored you for the last 2 years. We really weren't gone when you called. We just saw your number on the ID and said, We also want to thank the staff, the administration, and the faculty of the Mott's nursing program. We want to thank them for sharing your wisdom and your experience. You're responsible for what we are today. So just remember that. If there's ever a lawsuit, it's their fault. But most importantly, we want to thank our patients. Thank you for allowing us to practice on you and for teaching us what it means to be nurses. So in closing, I want to say this. As a child, like most of you, I dreamt of becoming an actor, a world-renowned singer, even president. I wanted to be somebody who was rich and famous, a world changer. Well, I didn't grow up to be any of these things. Like you, I eventually became a nurse. And as nurses, we may not become rich or famous. But as nurses, we can make a difference. And in making that difference, we can change the world.